I married a guy I knew most of my life. We knew each other in high school and even went to prom together. But little did I know, I did not know him at all. I will call my now ex-husband Dirty Chad.
Hey y'all, this is April.
And this is Caroline.
With Bloody Happy Hour.
And we are bringing to you Dirty Chad. Get it on patreon.com/bloodyhappyhour exclusively for all the details and all the red flags.
Caroline's finally telling her story.
My truth.
Welcome back to another episode of No Waco. This is your host, Debbie. All right, welcome back to another episode of No Waco. I'm your host, Debbie, and today we have a very special guest here in the studio. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Amy Traweek, and I own Revisionphotorestoration, and I am so excited to be here.
Yay! And we were just talking about how I'm surprised you've never been on my podcast before.
I don't know why. I don't know. I just one night was like, oh my God, I need to reach out to you because of course it makes sense.
Yes.
I met you a few years ago when Rogue Media was downtown on
Back
Franklin.
in our old building.
Yeah, we were in the same building, and you popped by and you're like, this looks cool. You poked your head in and you're like, what is this? And
That sounds like me.
my vintage vibes, and
Oh, I love
drew
it.
you in.
I'm
worked.
obsessed with it.
Me too.
Well, the first question I always ask new people on the podcast is, what brought you to Waco, or are you a Waco native?
I have lived in Waco for about 12 years. I'm originally from a little town near Abilene called Merkel. Shout out Merkel, I guess. But I live in Riesel, but work in Waco. I don't currently have an office here anymore. I just meet people at the South Waco Library or the West Waco Library. But recently, I've partnered with Historic Waco Foundation, and they are giving me a space at the Johnson Taylor House.
Awesome.
I haven't even been over there to look at it yet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I'm really excited about that because it's a historic home, and that's always been my goal, to put this business into a place like that because it just makes sense with what I do.
Yeah. And so how long have you been doing this? Tell me what all the facets are, photo revision. Tell me all about it.
Well, I have been a photographer pretty much my whole life. I mean, even when I was 5 years old, my parents used to hide the camera for me because that was back in the film days. And I would just blow through a roll of film. But it was never like normal pictures. It was like weird shadows and just really artsy stuff. And
I love it.
I'd be like looking around. They're like, where's the camera? And they're like,
Hide it.
and they would develop the film. And they're like, really? Like, it's my art, okay, even at 5. But
I love that.
yeah, I've loved photography my whole life. The reason I got into it is because my mother passed away when I was a baby. So when I say my parents, I mean my stepmom and dad. But even from a very young age, I knew the importance of pictures, especially prints. And just wanted to preserve those at all costs, especially the pictures of my mother, of course, because that's the only way I've ever known her. I don't remember her at all, so pictures are very important to me. And then after I graduated high school, of course, I took photography in high school, but I would even skip class to go take pictures because our photography class was like a blow-off class, right? We would watch Wheel of Fortune and things like that, and I would sneak out and go take pictures. So, and then I would just spend all my time in the dark room. But after I graduated high school, I moved to San Marcos, went to Texas State for a little bit, and I was walking around downtown on the square, and there was a photography studio, and I just popped my head in, and I was like, hey, are y'all hiring? And no, of course not, you know. And there was this girl, she looked like Paris Hilton. Like,
wow.
She even had the little chihuahua. And she was the one that was at the, I guess, like, she answered phones and took orders or whatever and did appointments. And I was like, well, can I just, like, hang around? And the owner, the photographer, was like, yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to look through
That's
stuff.
how you want to waste your time.
I was like, I had nothing better to do. I was 18, you know. And so I would just sit and look through all the albums that they had, and I just kept showing up. And one day, Paris Hilton, not really, but she didn't show up, and the phone was ringing, and I'd heard her take enough orders over the phone because they did graduation, so they would like call, image number, whatever, I need a 5x7.
Yeah.
So phone was ringing, nobody was there. So I just walked my happy little self around the counter, answered the phone, and started taking orders. And the owner came out, and he looked at me, And he just turned around and walked away.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what in the world? And then after about 2 weeks of showing up and doing that, I was on the phone and he slid me a W-4 and he was like, well, I guess if you're going to keep showing up, I should probably pay you. And I was like, that would be nice. So I ended up managing that studio when I was 18.
Wow.
And managed it for 3 years. And it's, I just have always been into photography. I've gotten out of it here and there just because life and bills and family, but I always gravitate back towards it. And when it's missing from my life, I feel it. I feel like that missing piece. And I'm finally doing what I love. And photo restorations have always been that job that it was like, oh, if you could do anything you wanted to do, what would you do? And my answer was always photo restorations. And I don't know, something happened when I turned 35. I guess that's my midlife crisis. I was just...
Hopefully not.
Right. But I was just like, I'm going to quit saying it. I'm going to do it. And I couldn't sleep that night, so I just set up my Facebook and Instagram and Google, presence. And the next day I started getting calls because, there's just not many people that do what I do.
Yeah.
And the photographers that I know, a lot of them hate doing restorations because they're tedious, they're time consuming. And, you have to have a lot of patience to work with them. Yeah.
So you are a entrepreneur, an artist, and business owner. How long have you been doing this for, and what has that process been like?
Well, the photo restoration side business, I started in 2018 in October.
Wow.
And,
Pre-pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's been hard, because it was growing, and I was doing good, and if you look at my reports, the numbers were going up. I'm like, I'm getting some traction. This is going good. And then COVID. And it was like my reports went from like a steady incline to just literal
Sharp
zero.
decrease.
$0. And so it was, all right, I got to regroup. But honestly, I was having to homeschool my kids at that time.
Wow.
So it was like, all right, I'll just take a step back. And, I don't know how any of us got through, all of that. And, thanks STEMI checks.
I was going to say, yay!
But, and I got back into it, and I've had a few setbacks along the way, but I've just pushed forward, and every time I get knocked down, I'm just like, no, I'm determined to see this through, and I'm, doing what I love, and just, I get emotional about it because, I was just over taking pictures yesterday, and I was leaving, because I still do photography also, but I was leaving the place and I just got emotional, and it just dawned on me that I'm really just doing what I love.
I love that. So being a small business owner and an entrepreneur and all of these things, how do you balance it all? What is it like being here in Waco, being a mom and handling all the business side of things?
Honestly, it's not a whole lot different than, having a 9-to-5 job. You have the benefit if you have a full-time, quote unquote, regular job.
Real people job.
Yeah, right. A grown-up job, of that stability.
Yeah.
But, I would rather, no, but I would just go crazy. And I did do the whole, 9-to-5, of course, we all have. And I was a supervisor at a data entry job.
Wow.
And it was in a literal box with no windows. No. This building, they thought windows were distracting.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, really?
Thanks.
And I did that for 5 years, and I was just going crazy. And I was constantly just writing down my plans. And, I had gotten divorced, and, my ex-husband was like, photo restorations, there's no market for that. And I'm like, you don't know anything.
You don't know me.
So I divorced him, and I started a restoration. That wasn't the only reason.
Yes,
but,
yes.
It was like, you know what? If you're not going to support me in my dreams, then get the heck out of here. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
And again, just going after what you believe in, what would you say is the mission behind your business?
Saving the photos. So just getting people to be more aware, of their own family history. It's so easy to go through our day-to-day and just live our life and post to Instagram and, and not really think about where you came from and your family history, because it's just not important right now, but one day it will be.
Yeah.
And pictures are just so important. So really just urging people to get the important ones digitized. I do bulk it's so hard to say, digitization.
I can't say that word.
Right.
So.
I stumble on it all the time. But I do that, but I also do, of course, restorations. I do a little bit of like slide and negative converting that comes to me sometimes. I really enjoy those. And I've recently started doing some film developing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my goal is to eventually have my own storefront where I can have a full service darkroom.
Wow.
Offer classes.
I would love that.
Right?
Yes.
I know. It's making a comeback, film is.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that.
And that's awesome. And of course, we're here today to talk about an exciting event you're going to be a part of.
Yes.
So of course, I know you said you don't have an office. So how can people find you and where are they going to find you at?
Well, I get a lot of my clients just from Google searches, and just looking me up online and messaging me. I have everywhere that I'm by appointment only because I just meet people, at wherever they want to meet. We don't have to meet at the library. You can let's go for coffee. You know, it's kind of that personal aspect, and I enjoy that. And I really love talking to my customers, and they have a lot of really cool stories behind a lot of these pictures.
I love that.
Yeah,
and I want to tell you about it. Probably.
Yeah,
it's part of the experience.
Of course, yes. And my clients love to talk, but the Oktoberfest that's coming up at the
Backyard barn stage.
Yes, I'll be there. I have a booth, and I'm going to actually share my booth with Historic Waco Foundation. I offered that to them because it just makes sense for us to partner, and we're all really excited about the partnership and really helping to promote each other and get the word out about history being important. And the cool thing is I'm going to have it set up where I'm going to do live demonstrations. For to do restorations on a screen. You can watch me work on it, but I'll also have my scanner there where people can bring me their pictures, scan them, leave them with me where they're safe while they go off and do whatever. And then, at the end of the night, they can come pick them up.
Perfect.
And they're already scanned. They get to take them home, and I can get to work on restoring them.
Yeah, that's going to be an amazing opportunity for people to get out in the community, bring you those pictures, and just, again, be a part of something bigger than themselves, a little part of culture here in Waco.
Yep. I'll be there October 19th through the 21st.
Yep,
right?
Same weekend as Celebration.
Yes.
Everybody's going to be downtown, so if you're local, you may want to avoid it. But if you're not, come to the festival. It's going to be fun.
And bring
come
your pictures.
Bring your festival. Bring your pictures. Bring it all. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing about that. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
Okay. Sounds good.
And now for a word from our sponsors.
Hi, and welcome to Bustles and Bangers with your hostess, Rachel and Christopher.
I love it when you say my name.
And you didn't say hi.
I didn't. You just kept going. I'm going to introduce the book. I'm not reading it because I don't like reading.
Girls like cowboy butts, and those jeans don't hide anything. Find us on Instagram at Bustles and Bangers or on roguemedianetwork.com.
Hi, I'm Christine, and I'm an alcoholic. Here's the deal. Everybody knows somebody that has suffered from the disease of addiction. I want to invite you to listen to Purpose-Driven Sobriety, where we have real conversations with real people that have suffered from the disease of addiction and have gone on to thrive. Here, we shine light into the darkness that is addiction. You can find Purpose-Driven Sobriety on Facebook or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Hola, yo soy Jackie.
Y yo soy Jessica.
Y esto es Zona del Crimen. Un podcast donde hablaremos sobre casos de crímenes reales
y eventos impactantes que han quedado marcados a través del tiempo. Recuerden que nos pueden seguir en Facebook, Instagram
o donde escuches tus podcasts favoritos.
And now, back to the episode. And we're back. So we're just talking about the exciting event that you're going to be at October 19th through 21st over at the Backyard for Oktoberfest, and how people should definitely bring you their pictures. Yes.
Of course.
Yes, please. But one of the first questions I love to ask when we come back from break is, what is something you would like to see more of in Waco?
I would like to see more of the film industry coming back, because that's super exciting. That whole analog community is really making a comeback, and it's just really exciting to see that people are starting to get back into appreciating that as an art form, but also just having people go through their pictures. That's the hardest part. Sometimes it's emotional, especially if you've lost somebody. It can be really hard to just make yourself go through it. But honestly, just put on a podcast, Waco.
Shout out.
Put on a podcast or an audiobook or a TV show and just go through your pictures. Most of them, probably at least 50%, are garbage that you don't need. Just get rid of them. Quit toting them around.
They're those arty shots from when you were 5.
Right. Or like you went to the zoo and took a million pictures. Like, just get rid of those. But the important ones, keep them safe. Get them into boxes that are, fireproof, waterproof.
All the things.
Yeah, just get them out of your shed, out of the heat, and just go through them and decide which ones you want that are really important to you. And if they need work done, bring them to me. And if nothing else, just at least digitize them. Even if you don't come through me, take a picture with your cell phone, something, because I've had people that send me a picture that they took with their cell phone and the original got destroyed or damaged or lost. Yeah. But we're able to work with that. It's not ideal, but I can work with that, and at least you have something.
That's really cool. And we're already over halfway through done with this year. It's already the end of September, and I'm freaking out about it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Inside of my heart. But what are some of your goals by the end of the year? What are you hoping to achieve? It can be quantitative, qualitative, all of the things.
I would really like to start my own podcast
Ooh.
with my customers. I have so many customers that have really cool stories behind these pictures that these stories need to be told. Some of them are just so amazing, and, just share that with the world rather than letting them, just sit in a box. And
I'll be your weekly listener.
Yes, thank you. My first subscriber.
Be your first subscriber.
But
that would be amazing. I know you're going to be at this event, but do you have anything else coming up that you're looking forward to?
I'm really just trying to get myself out there as far as networking. I've started doing pictures for assisted living places, things like that. So grandma and grandpa picture day.
I love that.
Yeah, so it just, because a lot of my clientele come to me, sometimes it's the kids of people with the pictures, and they're going through pictures for their parents who are going through a life transition. So assisted living, memory care, or, sometimes deaths. That's when you have to start going through all of those things, and that's when they call me. So it just makes sense to combine my photography skills with my client base and, get the pictures of grandma and grandpa, because, we want to remember our kids, but, when a funeral rolls around, it's I don't have a good picture of,
you gotta go find one.
Of grandpa, but, just get their pictures made. The thing about photo restorations is that it's only something people ever regret not doing. Nobody's ever been like, God, I wish I hadn't invested money in that. People are always
in need of it.
I wish I'm so sad because this picture wouldn't have faded if I had just taken care of it or taken it in.
Yeah. And that's why you're needed here in our community.
That's right.
Do you think there is any specific need here in Waco? Why do you think it's so important that you're here in Waco making this happen?
I think it's important in Waco specifically because there's not a place. I mean, if you search Photo Restorations Waco, there's not anybody that specifically specializes in what I do. I mean, there are people that offer it as a side service, but, as far as me, it is the heart and soul of who I am and what I do, and it's what I am passionate about, and I go above and beyond. I always tell myself, edit to scale, and what that means is if I'm printing a 5x7, keep it, don't zoom in to where I can see every single pixel. But of course, I do that anyway. And I'm like, no, I see I see a tiny speck. I'm going to, it's stuff that people would never even notice. But I'm just so meticulous with my photo restorations. And I want them to be as perfect as they can be.
Yeah, that's amazing. And again, that's such a service that people in our community need. And you're able to provide that for them.
Yeah, and it's much better than mailing off your entire family photo
Terrifying.
album. Yeah, I mean, that is... I would never do that, and I wouldn't suggest that. I have people call me from out of town. Well, can I mail you my pictures? I'm like, please no.
Please don't do that.
Please make a trip if it's important to you. but if you do it at your own risk.
Yeah.
Or, whenever people are out of town, because I have started getting more people from surrounding areas, which is nice. But I tell them to go somewhere locally, scan it, or if you have a good scanner, email it to me. And it's just revisionphotorestoration@gmail.com. Just email it to me, and I can work from that digital copy, and then I can restore it. I do everything myself by hand, but then I use a professional lab, and I can drop ship directly to you.
Wow.
So you don't even have to make a trip.
Wow, that's perfect. That's amazing. One of the next things I always say is, it sounds like you're already like building this community up, and you're getting involved with these assisted living facilities and having this event and Historic Waco. Is there anyone you want to shout out that's helped you along the journey?
Yes. My friend Jillian with We Grow the Co.
Shout out, Jillian. We love you.
We love you. She is... I met her whenever I did a 1 Million Cups presentation, which is now the meetup.
Yep, 1 million cups.
Which, actually, I'm doing a presentation November 1st.
Perfect.
At the meetup. I just
shout out Randy. We love you too.
Yes. And so that's exciting. I'm kind of losing track because I'm going in like 20 different directions all at once. And thank goodness for my Google Calendar, because
I live by the calendar.
It saves my life so many times a day. But yeah, so Jillian, my friend Lori Davidson with Waco Trolley. I'm a hot mess today because I went and photographed a Waco history tour.
Oh, wow.
Which is always so fun. And, we just had so much fun. It was a smaller group, so we got to be more like interactive with them. And, I'm a photographer, but like I'm passing out water. I'm do I need anything?
How's it going?
Lori's so sweet. She always lets me put my cards out, and she always gives me a shout out.
Love that.
Yeah, I love her. She's adorable. And then let's see, who else? There's somebody else I wanted to mention. You can cut this part out until I can think of it. But
no worries.
I thought I told you at the beginning. Who was it?
Waco Historic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The other shout out I would like to do is for Historic Waco Foundation. Yes, love them. And every single person I have met with that foundation is just, they're amazing. And they're just so passionate about Waco's history. And I'm learning so much and getting the privilege of working on these pictures and making sure that they are restored and preserved for future generations, and for Waco to continue to remember is really an honor. And I'm just so excited about the partnership. I actually went to the South Waco Library, I don't remember what day it was. It was a couple of weeks ago. And I follow the Waco libraries on social media, and there was this Waco history wall reveal, and I was like, that sounds cool. I'll go to that.
We shared about it on Act Locally Waco.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool. It sounds like my kind of people, because people who love history are my client base, of course. And I show up, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I don't know who else. There's like a lot of big name people there, like doing speeches, and I'm like, wow, there was like not even parking spaces. I thought there was going to be like 3 people there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I guess this is a bigger deal than I thought it was. And I'm looking around, and like I went out into the library, and I was like, I don't see this wall they're talking about, because I was picturing like a wall with old stuff.
Yeah.
But I was looking around the library, and then I just happened to catch out of the corner of my eye, there was a picture, and I was like, wait a minute, I restored that picture.
Oh my gosh.
And then I looked around, and all of their walls were completely covered in photos that I have restored.
Oh my gosh.
And I just
that's amazing.
got so emotional, and I just teared up, and I called my mom, my stepmom, I called my dad, and I called my boyfriend, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe, first of all, where was my invite?
I know.
I'm like, hello. But I was just so excited. And it's a permanent installation. That means it will always be there,
Go check it out.
Yes. And it was just a lot of, like, the key people in Waco. So it was specifically the Hispanic culture. And it was just really, really neat to get to work on that project. They called me, City of Waco called me last minute and like, oh my gosh, we have this project.
Need all these things.
We need all of these done in like 48 hours. And it was,
you were like, strap in.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'm not sleeping for 3 days, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did it. And it was so worth it. I didn't know what their project was for.
Yeah.
Like,
and now you know.
Yeah. And then I was like, I'm so glad I went, because I would have probably never known if I hadn't gone. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, of course, give us all of your social media, where we can find you, find more information about you, all the plugs, all the things.
That's a lot of things. So I'm really easy to find. You just type in Photo Restoration Waco, and I pop up on Google, but it's just Revision Photo Restoration on Facebook. It's Revision Photo on Instagram. My website is revisionphotorestoration.com. So it's pretty easy, and I have a lot of cool before and afters on there.
Cool.
With a little slider feature that,
Love that.
I worked hard on, and it's really neat. I just go through them sometimes, and I'm like, I did this. That's really cool.
Oh.
It's like my little portfolio, and I just love sharing what I do. And
Perfect.
what was the other thing?
And the best way people can contact you.
Best way people can contact me. Contact me directly. I'm a one-man show currently. Hopefully that'll change. I would love to have somebody that can help me with the bulk scanning because I would like to have a life. But it's a lot. But just message me, call me, text me at 254-297-9754.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for coming on today.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I've appreciated your time. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners today?
When you go home for the holidays, go through your pictures, please.
Good call.
Yeah, go through them and, just sit down and enjoy the time with your family. Not even as far as my agenda goes, but just appreciate the history and pull those photos albums out and quit, cringing over like, oh gosh, I look terrible.
I live like that. I had that haircut.
Yeah. I mean, embrace it. It's part of your history. It's part of who you are. And, just make sure, like, the ones that are important, take pictures of those or bring them to me.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Find us everywhere on all social media platforms, KNOW_Waco. Check us out at roguemedianetwork.com, and we're on YouTube under Rogue Media Network. Check out nowaco.com.
I married a guy I knew most of my life. We knew each other in high school and even went to prom together. But little did I know, I did not know him at all. I will call my now ex-husband, Dirty Chad.
Hey y'all, this is April
And this is Caroline.
with Bloody Happy Hour.
And we are bringing to you Dirty Chad. Get it on patreon.com/bloodyhappyhour exclusively for all the details and all the red flags.
Caroline's finally telling her story.
My truth.
Hi, I'm Hank. You might remember me from a show called King of the Hill. Check out a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. These boys ain't right, but they are funny. Find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com. I tell you what.